Today I went to a lot of trouble to get this junk silver coin. Today we're going to be looking at the coins and tokens here, this, and a small number of cards. I'm recording this on October 22nd, 2021, and today was the first Nashville Flea Market since, I believe, February or March of 2020. And with that, I had high expectations. I love going to the Nashville Flea Market. I love several coin dealers there, baseball card dealers, Hot Wheel dealers, just lots of things I like about the Nashville Flea Market. And they've been opened up outdoors only for about 2 or 3 months, and I just haven't had a chance to get out there. But today I had an opportunity to go out there. Now that this is the first time in over a year and a half that they've actually allowed dealers to go into the inside of the building. So I was expecting to see a lot of my old favorite dealers back, but I was not that fortunate. My parents started taking me to the Nashville Flea Market almost 40 years ago, and so when I was a child. So it's meant a lot to me. Of course, it's not as popular as it used to be. I suspect that's true for flea markets all over the place, but right now, the Nashville Fairgrounds is undergoing quite a big change. They've torn down all their old buildings, and they are building the Nashville soccer team stadium in its place. And so now the fairgrounds is in some modern buildings that were completed maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And for parking, the normal place I'm used to parking was closed, and they actually routed everybody to park on the auto racing track, which was, at first I thought, hey, that's kind of an interesting place for us to park. That'll be interesting. However, I saw a line of people standing around. And the problem here is that there is no way to walk from this parking area to the fairgrounds because you would be walking through a construction zone. So you are forced to wait on a shuttle bus. And they have a couple of former Nashville public school short buses that they were running in circles. And of course, those can only hold 16 people. And it's about a 10-minute round trip to get from where you're parking to where the actual flea market is held. And that was just kind of a mess. After I got out of my car, I timed it took me 28 minutes to actually get into the flea market. And also with the thought that when I leave, I'm going to have to deal with the exact same problem, and I did. And then when I got actually in the flea market, my favorite coin dealer was not there. My second favorite coin dealer was not there. My third favorite coin dealer was there, but there's some others that I've looked at in the past. And then as far as baseball cards, some of my favorite dealers there weren't there anymore. Some of my favorite Hot Wheel dealers were not there. I would say at best half the people that used to be there were there today. And I don't know if they're not coming back, or they're waiting for it to grow a little bit more, or just a lot of these logistical problems to be fixed. So it was I call it a major disappointment with the things that I'm looking for. So now that I have that out of the way, I went to a lot of trouble to get some of these coins. And so like I said, it's my third favorite dealer, and honestly, my favorite thing about him is that he gets these 60 coin albums. These usually sell for $8. I've seen them for $6. He gives them 2 for $5. I don't know how he gets them at that price, but I picked up 6 of these. And so I am happy to get that, because when you have a large foreign coin collection like I do, you need a lot of storage space. But we're going to start with the highlight. He had a couple of junk foreign silver coins. This is about as bad as a coin can get. As you can see, obviously huge hole at the top. Obviously it's very slick. You can't even tell what it is, hardly. And the back is even worse on here. It's almost no distinguishing characters. But he said, I have no idea what it even is. But this is quite a large coin, and made of silver. So I thought I would give it a shot, and he only wanted $4 for it. I thought, there's pretty good chance there's easily more than $4 worth of silver in this coin. And after looking at it, seeing the not an older looking person on here, you might recognize the portrait already, but my first thought was is actually maybe a 1910s Spanish coin, but it's actually something a little bit more common than that. This is actually George VI from Britain. This is a half crown. By then, the half crowns were only 50% silver. And flip it over here. This is probably not going to show up on camera, but I can actually make out the words half crown, or at least the word crown, right here. As far as the date's concerned, I could see a 19. I think I see a 7 right there. The first year this coin was made was 1937, and by 47, this had changed to a non-silver coin. So this is silver. If it was whole, I would say the book says that it has 0.2251 ounces of silver. So I'm going to say that this is roughly 0.2 ounces of silver. And so at a $20 spot price, that would be $4, but with silver today is about 23, so that's worth $4 to me. This same dealer has a 5 for $1 foreign coin bin. It's one of the worst ones you'll ever see. It's all things that are very common, but I decided I'm still going to try and pick out 5 coins just because. And so I got a V-nickel that has a hole in the last digit of the date, so 19191 something on there, but for 20 cents. I mean, hey, my son, I'm probably going to show that to my son. Also, we have an Indian head cent from 1906. Obviously not incredible shape with the damage on the rim right there, but something a little bit more interesting. Also well worn, but a larger copper coin from the French Empire. Napoleon III, that's not that Napoleon that you're familiar with, but the coin dates to 1955. And flip it over here. It's got an M mint mark. And for the coin catalogs, they actually call each mint mark a different coin. And maybe, I don't know why they do that, but they don't really do that in the 20th century. But in the 19th century, they do that often. And so as it turns out, I already had this coin, but that is a 10 centimes coin from France. Another older coin in poor shape, we've got 1877, 2 kopeck. This is from Russia. And as it turns out, I had this one also, but might make for an interesting trade piece. I actually did get one coin that was new to my collection. We also have George VI on this one as well, on this brass coin. Lists him as King and Emperor of India. We turn it over, and it's from Ceylon. It's a 25-cent coin, and has a lot in the language that I can't read. They're under 25 cents, but a date of 1943. This coin was only made 1 year. It's not particularly valuable, but since it was only made 1 year, I didn't have it, so that is a pretty good pickup, I would say. Same dealer had a 3 for $1 tokens bin, and so I wanted to pick up $1 worth of those. I like, my favorite tokens are transportation tokens, and the first one I found is from the Connecticut Turnpike, good for one fare. I don't really think of turnpikes as having their own tokens as much as I think of like subway and bus tokens. But one thing I like about the design here is it's got the shape of Connecticut, but it also has the line showing the route of the turnpike on here. So I believe this coin was minted in, there's not a date on it, but best I can tell, this was minted early 80s. And the other side of the coin, I believe that is the crest of Connecticut, and it has a motto in Latin here. So there's kind of an interesting story about these, that the time that Connecticut was making these tokens, they were making, the New York City subway tokens were apparently the similar size and weight of this token. And for that reason, people could purchase one of these for a quarter, which was cheaper than the New York City subway token, and the machines couldn't tell them apart. So people would buy these and then pay their New York City subway fares with them. New York City complained to the state of Connecticut, said, "This is your problem. You have to fix it." And at first, Connecticut said, "Okay, we'll completely remint millions of tokens to fix your problem." And then after, I guess, thinking about it for a while, they decided, you know what? This isn't our problem. This is your problem. We're not going to do anything about it. And so I believe this has been labeled the New York City Subway Token War from the early 80s. And so this was a continuing cause of dispute between New York and Connecticut until about 1986, when Connecticut decided to remove all tolls from the turnpike, and it was no longer an issue. These were no longer to be found. For the next coin, we have the Metropolitan Transit Authority One Fare, and it has the similar design on both sides. This is from Boston and used for the Boston subway. These were apparently minted in 1958. Again, they made millions of them, and so many of them have been lying around for many years. And in the 60s, at some point, the company changed their name to something like the Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority. And so they decided to stop using these tokens, and so when you could still spend them, and when one would come in, they would just hold on to it, but when they would sell new tokens, they would have new logos on them. And then in the 80s, I think they were facing a token shortage, and they actually allowed these to be spent again. They stopped selling them in about, best I could read, about 2005, and then continued to let people use them even though they've gone to a non-token system. If you had tokens, you could continue to use them until about 2015. And then finally, we have the Los Angeles Railway. One of the things I like about transportation tokens is how often they have intricate designs on them. They have just interesting grooves in them. They have etched things in the coin. Good for one fare. Just switch to baseball cards here for a minute, and there's a dealer at the flea market who was there today that usually focuses on vintage cards, and sometimes I'm not always in the mood of vintage cards, but I had a good friend that I would go out to the flea market with. He loved vintage cards, would spend hours there. So we would go to the flea market, we'd take him straight to that booth, we'd look at everything else and then come back and he was still there. We'd spend a couple hours, spend a couple $100 every time we would take him out there because he had really good prices. And I only picked up 10 cards. I went through about one row of his boxes and then just decided my back's going to start hurting if I look at another 1,000 cards. So there's really no rhyme or reason to what I picked up here. But all these are for $1. And I'm going to start off with a couple of modern cards. We've got this Barry Larkin Topps Threads, numbered to 99. My wife is a Reds and Larkin fan. Next we have, I believe this is going to be a heritage card of Bryce Harper in the 82 design, I think maybe 83. And so my mother-in-law is a fan of Bryce Harper, so I got that for her. She is also a fan of Bench, and so here's this refractor of Johnny Bench with the 2019 Topps Chrome. But now that we're looking at vintage cards, have a couple that have from 71 with the home run leaders. So Bench and Tony Perez with Billy Williams, but another Bench, Perez, and Billy Williams, but this time the two players flipped and they used different pictures. And there you go with all the RBI leaders from 70. So here is a card from the 50s, and they just don't come up with baseball player names like they used to. So here we have Whammy Douglas, better known or given name is Charles William Douglas, shown as a Redlegs player. I believe this is from 1959. The previous year, he actually played in the minors, and then the year before that, he was with Pittsburgh. So there you go, Whammy Douglas. Next up, we have a Topps buyback card that was printed and released in 2014 Heritage, where they bought a bunch of 1965 Topps cards in pretty much the condition they could find them, and then put that stamp on it. So here is, I've never heard of Ron Herbal before, but that is where this has come from. And then for a player I have heard of, we've got another buyback. This one was from 2015, and I believe they put 2 throwback cards in every hobby box of 2015 Topps. And so here we have a good throwback of Lou Brock. There is a little bit of a crease through here, but I was happy to find one of these buyback cards of a player I recognized. Next up, I never had anything from the early Fleer all-time great set. So here is Joe Medwick, better known as Ducky Medwick. And so, yes, Fleer made cards before 1981, but it was usually, for the most part, it was only vintage or all-time greats. And so here we have Joseph Michael Ducky Medwick. And then I bought this one because I did not recognize it at all, and I had to dig around a little bit just to find out what this is. So, Ban Johnson, I'd never heard of the name. If you pause and read the story here, it's going to talk about how he was the original president of the American League, had to sue the National League to be considered an equal league to the National League, and that's what the story describes in the back here. It does say TCG, which means that is something produced by Topps. But as it turns out, this is a product that was included with Bazooka Bubblegum from, I believe the year was 1963, and the Willie Mays card, which I think is number 15 in the set, books for 55. This would be a common player, and there's also a parallel version where it has silver foil instead of the gold foil. That is rarer and worth twice as much, but this was a product I'd never seen before, so I decided to pick it up. So while I was waiting about 30 minutes to get back on the shuttle bus to get back to my car, I used that time and thought, you know what, I ended up with more cash than I needed because I didn't buy a whole lot out there. So I needed a way to spend some of the leftover money that I had. And I decided to go to my favorite card shop, which is, I thought would be a 10-minute drive away in Green Hills. But with Nashville traffic the way it is these days, it took me about 25 minutes. And I got there, and the first place I always go is the junk silver bin, completely sold out. Then I look in their 25-cent foreign bin of coins, and it was about the thinnest I've ever seen it. I dug through it. There wasn't anything of interest to me at all. So I looked at the stuff behind the counter. I found one coin that was interesting to me, and it was this 1928 British florin, which is the same value of 2 shillings. So this is still a 50% silver at this point, but King George V, and dated 1928. Not the best of condition, but a lot better than the other British silver coin that I came up with. And it still has about almost $4 worth of silver in it, so I'm not paying that big of a premium to get this coin. One last coin that I picked up there, and I did feel bad that they didn't really have a lot for me to get, but I do need more of these $50 size flips, because when you specialize in foreign coins like I do, you just have to go with U.S. coin size flips, and that's one of the better sizes that I get for some of the larger coins. This same dealer has, and I really don't see this anywhere else, he has a box of U.S. type coins in horrible condition for $3. And every time I go, I look in there and I try and find something that I don't have. And I picked up today a 1939 dime for $3. Now, if I found, an Eisenhower silver dime in a junk silver box is going to be $2. So I am paying an extra dollar here to get a coin from 1839. And so I don't usually collect American coins all that much, but I certainly didn't have one of these. And after looking through the catalog, coins that are older than this do not have the stars that go around the outside of the coin. And then starting in 1940, they added some detail to the shoulder right here, and that detail you can't see because this coin is so well worn. But flip it over, and it does say 1 dime right there. At least the part you can read. And so I always look for the coin in the terrible box that is in the best condition, and believe it or not, this is the best condition, because if this was anything better than this, it would actually probably cost a lot more. I looked it up in my price guide. It said this coin in good condition, and as you know, good condition is really not all that good, but in good condition, this coin should have a book price of $17.50. So is this almost good, or is it even worse than that? Well, it was worth $3 to me. So I spent a lot of time driving, waiting, and standing around doing not a whole lot, and I just didn't get a lot of value for it today, but hope you found some of these things interesting. I have some more videos coming up of some other eBay coin purchases that I have purchased over the summer that I just didn't get around to making videos for. So if you like foreign coins, feel free to check out my previous catalog of different videos that I've made of lots of international coins. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.